And Ambassador Veena Sikri, former Indian High Commissioner to Bangladesh, joins us now, and we'll discuss the situation in Bangladesh with her. Ma'am, thanks for being with us. With over 637 mob lynchings, reported in the past year, these also are those targeting minorities and political opponents. So has vigilante justice been normalized in Bangladesh?
Absolutely. This year has been extremely difficult for the people of Bangladesh, and I think it is them that we have to focus on. And for India, of course, we've always seen our relationship with Bangladesh as a very people-centric relationship. And indeed, the people of Bangladesh have suffered enormously in the 1 year. The mob lynching, the mobocracy that you spoke about just now, this has indeed become the norm, and it was so from the very first day. On the 5th of August 2024, exactly a year ago, even as Sheikh Hasina's plane was leaving Dhaka, we saw that the mob lynchings began. Their first targets were the minorities, which is the Hindu, Buddhist, and Christian minorities, and also the Muslim minorities, the Sufis and the Ahmadiyyas. And the second target was anything that had to do with the Bangladesh Liberation War. So the father of the nation, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, his statues, his home, any institution named after him, Awami Leaguers, these were all tremendous sources of attack. And as if this was not enough, immediately after Muhammad Yunus was sworn in as chief advisor on the 8th of August 2024, we saw that the mobs, they started going and forcing individuals to resign. For example, they surrounded the Chief Justice of Bangladesh and forced him to resign. They surrounded the governor of the Bank of Bangladesh and forced him to resign. They would surround vice chancellors of universities and force them to resign. They even started surrounding professors, Hindu professors, other professors, forcing them to resign. Teachers in schools.
Indeed. So clearly, ma'am, you've given us lots of examples, but there has been a 230% rise in attacks on journalists as well. And, the use of other means to silence the voice of the journalists. So
Yes.
how would you assess, the approach to press freedom also?
Absolutely. The press freedom was, in fact, I was coming to that, it was the third major target after the first two, the minorities and the Awami Leaguers. And in fact, how they have controlled the media is actually very, very, it's awful. It's really cannot even be described. And the sad part is that nobody in the world is talking about it. These reporters without borders, all the people, they're all keeping quiet. It's kind of an omerta, a kind of a vow of silence. And because of this, the Bangladesh chief advisor and his regime, it is not even a legitimate regime, but they've been able to keep away the reality from the rest of the world. Now, what they did with the media was that in the first place, they arrested a lot of media people and put them in jail, charging many of them with murder. Secondly, a number of journalists were dismissed and are really now facing a very difficult situation. And then media houses were just taken over. The boards were taken over, the editors were replaced. And it really is a very difficult situation because even in the Bangladesh media and certainly in the international media, these issues are just not being raised.
Absolutely.
And there is a great deal of unhappiness because of this. And I would say that the people are, in fact, very, very unhappy with the situation today.
Right.
Even the other part is the economic distress.
Right, ma'am. If we talk about the economic distress, I mean, there has been a modest recovery in exports, remittances too, but the economy is sluggish. What's most needed to restore stability and also public confidence?
Well, just yesterday or day before, the Bank of Bangladesh, the central bank, they actually gave out a statement listing the macroeconomic challenges still that continue to face Bangladesh. And all these incidents were mentioned, the hyperinflation, the stagnation of private investment. There's no private investment coming in. There's unemployment. And it's really a very difficult economy because we know that under Sheikh Hasina for 15 years, the economy was growing very steadily and rapidly, more than 6% growth of the economy every year. So in fact, over these 15 years, Bangladesh has even come out of its least developed country status and was moving into a regular low and middle income country status. But with this one step, with the regime change operation brought into force in August last year, we've seen that that was combined with a fact that they wanted to destroy the relationship with India, which, as you know, was a very vibrant and robust economic relation. So they wanted to destroy the supply chains. Like say, for example, India was exporting cotton yarn or man-made yarn or textile machinery or pharmaceutical ingredients to Bangladesh. If you cut the supply chain, then at the other end in Bangladesh, all the factories had to shut down because there was supply coming in, unemployment was there. And because of this, they lost a lot of supply orders, they lost a lot of, their exports plunged, and the rate of growth halved, to 3% and less. Even the ECB is now saying even this year, despite a slight recovery, it will only be about 3.9% per annum. So, it's really been a very difficult situation, and people just don't know how to handle this hyperinflation because the commodities are just not there, and they want to destroy the regular supply chain that had built up, the regular contractual.
So if we look at possible solutions, and you've talked about the rise in communal violence as well, does one expect international human rights bodies to play some role in addressing these abuses? Is it possible?
Well, I certainly hope so, because some of the issues, for example, last week in Gopalganj in Bangladesh, which is the hometown of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and where his mausoleum is situated, last week there was a terrible incident in Gopalganj where the NCP, which is a newly formed party, was trying to have a rally there, and the word had gone out that they would try to desecrate the mausoleum of Sheikh Mujib. So the people came out just spontaneously to they were all Awami League supporters, but then they were shot at. The army, in order to protect the NCP, shot at them. So now I think in this situation, the only hope of, I would say, the people of Bangladesh and the world is that there should be free, fair and inclusive elections organized in Bangladesh as soon as possible with the participation of all parties.
So how is that going to take place, ma'am? Because, critics have accused the Yunus administration of focusing on purging his opposition rather than restoring the rule of law. Go ahead.
Yeah. That is very true, but the pressure is building up in a very big way. Even the opposition parties like the BNP, Awami League, of course, the activities have been banned. But in any election, you cannot prevent the Awami League, a registered political party, from taking part. But the BNP is pressing very hard for early elections, even by December of this year. In the next 5 to 6 months. And a lot of the other parties and individuals and groups, they all want early elections. There's only one group, the Jamaat-e-Islami and the Islamist parties. As you know, they are actually running the show in Bangladesh. They control all the levers of power. They tell Muhammad Yunus what he should do and what he should not do. So other than the Jamaat-e-Islami, who, in order to delay the elections, has said, let's have reforms, and they've sort of instituted a process of reforms until the reforms take place. So they say they don't want elections. But the pressure of the entire people of Bangladesh are in favor of early elections.
Absolutely. So the pressure is building up. I'm afraid we've run short of time, ma'am. Thank you very much for your sharing your views with us and helping us understand the bigger picture in Bangladesh.